Good day, dear students. Today we are going to have the second topic of our Unit 1. We are going to have a poem, When Autumn Came by Faiz. Before getting into the poem, I want you to have a short introduction for Pakistani poetry. We have discussed uh, about the features of Pakistani literature in our first introductory lecture, but still I want to introduce you to Pakistani poetry. Pakistani poetry is dominated by Urdu Shairi. Urdu is a language, and poetry is called Shairi in Urdu. And much of the Pakistani poetry is written in Urdu and very less in English. And much of the Urdu poetry has been translated into English. As a nation which has emerged so recently after partition of India, it has a very recent history and a literary tradition of its own. It has the influence of Indian and British literary genres and culture. It is a kind of a uh, cross cross product of Indian and British culture. Much of the Pakistani literature talks about the themes of religion, identity. Of course, identity being a nation emerged after partition, the people would face the problem of identity. So, identity occupies an important part in Pakistani literature. Then, nature, marriage, and death occupies the themes of Pakistani literature. Now coming to Faiz, he was born in the year 1911 in Pakistan and his period was till 1984. He is a well-known Pakistani poet like Mirza Ghalib. He used to write in Urdu and much of his poetry has been translated into English by other poets. He had been the editor of Pakistan Times for a long time. He has also been nominated for Nobel Prize 4 times. His poetry is known for its symbolic images, the description of nature, and he talks about the revolution, the turmoil and the turbulence which was prevailing in the Pakistani society during his time. So our poem is also going to be very symbolic in its meaning. He's going to talk about not just nature but also the time of turbulence and turmoil which was prevailing in Pakistan during his time. After reading his this poem, this When Autumn Came, I want you to go through the poems of Keats' Ode to Autumn, Shelley's West Wind, and Teddy's Snowdrop, which look very much similar to that of this Faiz, When Autumn Came. Autumn is not a new topic to be discussed in poem, right? Autumn has been discussed by several poets. Each one has his own perspective. Keats has looks at autumn as something very beautiful, something very inspiring, something a phase of nature. Whereas Shelley sees autumn as a bringer of the spirit of revolution. He calls uh, West Wind the breath of autumn. He calls. The poem begins like this. O wild west wind, thou art autumn's breath. So he personifies autumn as a human and has the spirit of that revolution, right? Now coming to this poem, when autumn came, this poem is a kind of prosaic poem. It doesn't have any kind of stanza structure or rhyme or a lyrical quality in it, right? Let's read the poem. This is the way the autumn came to the trees. It stripped down to the it stripped down to the skin, left their ebony bodies naked. It shook out their hearts, their yellow leaves, scattered them over the ground. Anyone could trample them out of shape, undisturbed by a single moan of protest. See, he begins the poem as this is the way. He has not given any kind of description before, but he says, this is the way. This is the way the autumn came to the trees. This is how autumn came to the trees. Right? How it stripped them down to the skin. It stripped them down to the skin. This autumn season stripped the trees to its skin. It has left their ebony bodies naked. Ebony is tanned or dark skinned. Left their ebony bodies naked. Without leaves, the trees would look with just their barks, which is, of course, in tan color or dark brown in color. So he calls the skeleton of trees without leaves as ebony bodies. And he has personified here the tree as a human being and the dress as, and the leaves as the dress the trees are wearing. It stripped them off. You see, he uses the word stripped. He is not just saying removed or unbuttoned. He says it's stripped. Stripped is to shatter into pieces, to tear into pieces. The autumn has torn the dress of the trees and has left with just its skin. They are naked. The trees are naked now. It shook out their hearts, the yellow leaves. See, the autumn season has shake. Shook is the past tense of shake. The leaves have been shaken. The autumn season has shaken the trees with the help of its wind. Right? The wind of the of the autumn season has just shook the leaves, and the leaves here are called as the heart. See, in the previous line, he has compared without mentioning the leaves as the dress. See, stripped down to the skin and left their ebony bodies naked. Right? Left their bodies naked without leaves. Now he calls the leaves as hearts. It shook out their hearts, the yellow leaves. See the description of the color, yellow leaves. Yellow symbolizes autumn, the fall. It shook out their hearts, the yellow leaves, over the ground. It scattered them over the ground. It has scattered them over the ground. It has not just dropped. It has not just taken away. It has scattered. The same image as Shelley gives in his Ode to the West Wind. See? Shelley, when gives a description of the dead leaves, he gives a beautiful comparison. He compares the flight of those dead leaves along the wind as the enchanted beings to the spell of a magician. Similar to that, such a beautiful comparison. It has shook their hearts, the yellow leaves, and scattered them over the ground. Scattered everywhere, has thrown everywhere, has spread everywhere. Scatter has a kind of negative connotation, whereas spread has a kind of positive connotation. See the choice of words that Faiz uses. He has scattered without any order. He has scattered the leaves. He has scattered the heart. Heart is nothing but the leaves. It has scattered the hearts or the leaves over the ground. Anyone could trample them out of shape. Anyone could trample them out of shape. Trample is to walk over. Anyone could walk over the leaves. The leaves are not going to question. See, anyone could trample. Trample is to walk over. When you walk over a dead leaf, it would be crushed. See, trample, right? Not stamping. He's not saying stamping. He trample. Trample is forcefully crushing something. Anyone could trample. Anyone could trample. Not he or she. Anyone. There is no one to ask. Anyone could trample them out of shape. Anyone can destroy the shape, the identity of the leaves. That's nothing but he's talking about the situation of people in Pakistan. They are trampled out of their identities. They are just stripped out of their identities. They have lost their identities. They have lost their shapes. Anyone could trample them out of shape. And what's the reaction of these leaves? Undisturbed by a single moan of protest. They are not at all protesting. They are not at all protesting. They are undisturbed. They are not disturbing us. They are not disturbing anyone who is trampling over them, who is stamping over them. They are not disturbing. They are silent. Right? They are silent by a not even a single moan, not even a single, not even just a grunt, not just even a cry, not just even a shout, right? A single moan of protest. They are not at all protesting. They are ready to suffer. They are ready to suffer. They are ready to lose their identity. But losing their identity is not a kind of happy thing. Losing the identity is not something welcomable. That's why he says mourn. They are mourning the loss of their identity, but without showing any kind of reaction, any kind of protest. I read once again. This is the way the autumn came to the trees. It stripped them out to the skin and left their ebony bodies naked, shook out their hearts, the yellow leaves, and scattered them over the ground. Anyone could trample them out of shape, undisturbed by a single moan of protest. The poem continues. The bird that heralded dreams were exiled from their song, each voice torn from its throat. They drop into the dust even before the hunter strung his bow. O God of May, have mercy. Bless these withered bodies with the passion of your resurrection. Make their dead veins flow with blood again. Give some tree the gift of green again. Let the birds sing. The bird that heralded dreams. The birds that brought dreams. The songs of the birds which invoked the dreams were exiled. The birds were exiled. Not just the trees. The birds were also affected by the autumn. The birds who were the messengers, who were the bringers of hope and dreams, were exiled. The birds here can be taken for the people or the leaders who led the people against such a suppression, right? Or the poets. The birds can be called here as the poets who wanted to bring change, who wanted to um, arouse people's emotion against such suppression through their songs. Those birds, those politicians, or those great leaders, or those great writers, were who gave dreams to the people, who wanted the people to save their identity, safeguard their identity, talk for their identity, come out, speak out, protest for their identity, were exiled. They were not allowed. They were thrown out. They were exiled from their song. No more were they allowed to sing. No more they were allowed to influence the people. Each voice torn from its throat. What happened to the voice of the birds? It is torn. Torn is to forcefully tear apart, put into pieces. Tear is to forcefully put into pieces. See, it's not a natural thing. Their voices, their rights, the right to speech is being torn from its throat. Their throat was torn. Their throat uh, was tightened, was torn. Their voices were torn. They drop into dust. They were here. It is not they were drop. Here it is. They drop into the dust. He did not say they fall into the dust. It's not falling is a voluntary action or action which is very natural, right? Done let happen by its own, right? Drop is a kind of voluntarily putting something down, right? They drop into the dust here stands for death. Dust thou art and to dust thy returneth, dust, grave, right? They drop into the dust, meaning to say they were dropped into the dust, they were put to death. The birds which herald the dream, the leaders, the writers, the politicians, or the great men who wanted to bring change in their society were put to death. They drop into the dust. When even before the hunter strung his bow, this is not strong, there is a spelling mistake, where even before the hunter stung his bow, stung is shoot his bow, they were not dropped by the hunters. Here you can take this hunter for a kind of fate. Before their fate could put them to death, before the God written time of their death has come, before the God's decided time of death or their natural death has come, they were put to dust. See, they drop into dust even before the hunter stung his bow. Here, hunter stung his bow. Hunter may be taken for the angel who takes up the life of human beings, right? Israfel, right? The hunter. Before the hunter stung his bow, before the God meant time, before the time of their natural death could come and the angel could take their life, they were put to death. Those birds were dropped into the dust even before the hunter strung his bow. O God of May, have mercy. May is the month of autumn, right? May is the month of autumn. May he makes an appeal to the God of May. O God of May, have mercy. He is at the mercy of God. O God of May, have mercy. And what is the request of the poet? Bless these withered leaves with the passion of your resurrection. Bless these withered leaves, these dried leaves, trampled leaves, crushed leaves, lifeless leaves. Bless these withered bodies, the dead bodies. The bodies are nothing but the leaves or the trees, these withered bodies, with the passion of your resurrection. Fill them with the passion. The people are without emotion, without passion. They are not at all reacting to the suppression. They are undisturbed, without a single moan of protest, right? So he requests the God. So he prays to God to fill these bodies with the passion, with the emotion, with anger, right? With the passion of your resurrection. Resurrection is to be filled with life once again. He wants these bodies, these trees to resurrect. He wants the people to resurrect. He wants the people to raise their voice, to fight for their rights, right? Not be readily suppressed, not be readily usurped of their rights with the passion of your resurrection. Make their dead veins flow with blood again. Blood. Blood here symbolizes emotion. Right? You would have read Comedy of Humors by Ben Jonson. Blood is one of the humors that is associated with energy, enthusiasm, with the spirit, with the young. Okay, so he wants the veins of these dead bodies to flow with blood. Blood here symbolizes enthusiasm, energy, spirit, emotion, a kind of uh, uh, youthness, or young youth, right? All these are symbolized with blood. Make their dead veins flow with blood. Please bless the dead bodies with the flow of blood again, meaning to say, let them have those emotions. Let them understand, realize, express their feelings, fight for their rights. Flow with blood again. Give some tree the gift of green again. He's not asking the God to bless all the trees with a gift of green. Give some trees, at least a few, a handful are enough to awaken the others, to make a clarion call to the others, to lead the others, right? Give some tree. He's not telling some trees, telling some tree the gift of green, the gift of life, the gift of uh, uh, the dare to be give them the what to say give them the daringness, give them the daringness, give them the thought of fighting for their right. Give some tree the gift of green again, meaning to say the green was once there. Now it has been taken away. So he wants the green to be restored once again, meaning to say the people were once full of emotions. For example, when India and Pakistan were together, they fought for their independence together, meaning to say they had the emotions in themselves. They fought for their freedom together. And after partition, this rights or these emotions was being taken away from the people in Pakistan. That's why he is telling again, once again. The people who are now in Pakistan were once together with the Indians. When they were together with the Indians, they had that thought of that feeling, that rights of expression, emotion. They were ready to voice out for their rights. But now, after partition, they have been usurped with the rights. So he says he wants to restore that right once again. He wants the people once again to raise for their rights. Give some tree the gift of green again. Let one bird sing. Let the bird that brings that heralds dreams. Let one bird sing. See, some trees the gift and one bird sing. See, he is just uh, uh, reducing the numbers, right? Some trees, some people who would be ready to voice out and let one bird sing. Let one Messiah come and save us. Let me read the poem once again. This is the way the autumn came to the trees. It stripped them down to the skin, left their ebony bodies naked, shook their hard the yellow leaves and scattered them over the ground. Anyone could trample them out of shape, undisturbed by a single moan of protest. The bird that heralded dreams were exiled from their song, each voice torn from its throat. They dropped into the dust even before the hunter stung his bow. O God of May, have mercy. Bless these withered bodies with the passion of your resurrection. Make their dead veins flow with blood again. Give some tree the gift of green again. Let one bird sing. So this poem can be interpreted in symbolic terms. It can have layers of meaning in it. When you try to understand the poem with a social background of the period in which it was written, we could excavate so many layers of meaning in it. I want you to